like rhythm games, puzzle games, and Mario, and when I deviate, it's because a game is usually so timeless and iconic that I have no other choice but to culture myself. That is not the case for Animal Crossing. Before New Horizons came out on Switch, my knowledge of the franchise was all secondhand from memes and the Smash and the people being really thirsty online. The idea of doing virtual yard work while cultivating relationships with your neighbors just sounds so tedious. And yet I picked up the game anyways since the apocalypse happened and I had nothing better to do, so there you go. As of this video posting, I've been playing for about 6 weeks, but still don't know how to feel about the game. Oh, if you've been playing every day for the past 2 months, then you're obviously having fun, right? Just because I've sunken lots of time into something doesn't mean I have fun doing it. I sunk lots of time into my bachelor's, and not only was it unfun, but now I'm making YouTube videos, so I guess you know how much that 4-year investment paid off. To me, a lot of Animal Crossing feels like a mobile game that's less transparent about how it's going to go about manipulating your use of time, which I guess is fine. It's no secret that there's a lot of charm when it comes to Nintendo games. This certain level of polish and detail that makes you want to keep visiting that world regardless of whether there is or isn't anything to do in it, and Animal Crossing New Horizons is no exception. Just going off the script alone, you can tell the localizers had a lot of fun figuring out what they wanted characters to say and how they should say it. The second I started playing the game and the little nooklings start talking to me, I was like, oh hey, it's like a little Scrappy-Doo, Huey-Dewey-Louie type of thing that's cute in a purely surface-level type of way to gain my trust. But within the first few days, I noticed that only one of the Nookington coat factories were actually hanging out with Big Boy Nook, and my first reaction is like, oh god, where's the other one? I thought you were a responsible functioning adult Tanuki Tom, why are you not protecting both of them at the same time? And it's that kind of 0 to 10 emotional whiplash that's been plaguing most of my playthroughs so far, a majority of which I can attribute to the cruel mistress that is social media. This is all to say that modern Animal Crossing cannot exist within the bubble of a single isolated playthrough, especially in a time where social media exists. The topic of, can a fanbase ruin a form of media for you, has been on the rise in no small part to how hot takes can spread like wildfires thanks to the internet. And while it does suck that a single piece of media can be associated with some of the garbagiest human beings out there, the fact remains, movies and TV shows are a passive experience that can be enjoyed by yourself if need be. It's not like forgetting to show up at the water cooler talk will bar you from watching key scenes that make up an episode or something. Compare that to video games where they've just been getting more and more social, more and more engaging. As the person controlling the character, you have agency on your actions and inactions throughout the game. Yeah, but what about Let's Plays? New Animal Crossing isn't a AAA game that disguises itself as a movie with uncanny motion capture, so it doesn't count. While plenty of Animal Crossing Let's Plays do exist, it's not the type of game that has a definite end, or even an objective to be fulfilled. There's literally an option where you can ask Nook, what do I do, to help give some form to the amorphous blob that is Animal Crossing. And even if you do primarily partake in Animal Crossing through other people's playthroughs of it, that only further cements how social video games are in comparison to other media. Games rely on a social aspect, lest you deny yourself a big chunk of how the game is meant to be played. And the problem with going out of your way to stay as single player as possible, especially in a game like Animal Crossing, is that the in-game benefits sacrificed are substantial. Custom clothing and tiles alone are enough to transform anyone's island, from drab to fab, and trust me, you want to be fab as fuck in Animal Crossing! So much of what makes the game fun is what other people are able to create and share with you, and yet it is this same aspect that can absolutely ruin your experience. When my friends went for the hard sell on Animal Crossing to me, they always focused on how chill the game was, that there was no one single objective you have to clear, and if anything, you can just go by your own rules, all loosey-goosey. And yet when I started playing and in turn seeing how other people played by checking out their islands, there was clearly a single objective everyone was adhering to: make mad gains and get the coolest shit as quickly as possible. You know that feeling you get when you haven't studied for a test and it feels like everyone has already turned their sheet in before you and your professor is just looking at you with that face like, this stupid kid's in the way of my retirement. Yeah, it's me with Animal Crossing. I'm just here derping around smashing rocks together like some troglodyte while I'm seeing people with these lavish-ass Instagram islands within the first few days. Maybe back when the first game came out, it was possible to just create and live peacefully within the confines of your own save file. But the nature of that mindset doesn't take into account the social aspect of players outside of the game, and that social aspect has since ballooned in the years after Animal Crossing on the N64. Even ignoring news coverage from gaming websites, I've just been getting flooded with clips and out-of-text screenshots and the fan art, and it's just a lot for a newbie to take in, especially when being told that the game itself is supposedly just a chill old romp through the woods. But while that may be the intended nature of the game itself, it doesn't take into account the nature of players who will sink 100+ hours within the first few days. Taking into account visiting friends' islands, not to mention seeing what's getting shared online, it's hard not to feel incentivized and work harder at my own game. Okay, so the new goal is to make the money and get the items. Seems easy enough. Between the stock exchange, the hot items of the day, planting and harvesting non-native fruit trees, and the tarantula hunting, it just becomes this avalanche of chores and strategy just to come out ahead. If you aren't obsessed, then you're slacking, and if you're slacking, then you're falling further behind everyone else. You know, Gabe, kawaiigurlXOXO already broke 10 million bells and just has a divine garden with such an expansive variety of crossbreeds. How come you don't have 10 million bells and an expansive variety of crossbreeds? Because personification of social media mom, I'm busy getting crushed by the existential dread brought on by my obsession and subsequent failure at fitting in among the culture that is a 19-year-old video game franchise and an overprotective brand-obsessed fanbase. Jeez! I keep hearing people go on about how Animal Crossing is this freeform game that can't be won, and yet here I am clearing out an island at 1 a.m. in the morning just to increase my odds of encountering tarantulas so I can catch and sell them for 8,000 bells each. Or, if I keep them all in my storage and wait until Flick shows up, I can sell them all for double that price and... When a game has no clear end to it, you're either forced to conform to the accepted means of play, lest you get lost among the culture, and feel like you really are losing. It's been about a week since I unlocked terraforming and reached at least what the game defines as an ending, and I still don't know if I can fully appreciate Animal Crossing New Horizons. I do still enjoy all the customs people have been sharing online, and even tried my hand at making some stuff myself. But the fact remains that it's a social game with a very vocal fan base that can lean towards some, unsavory mob behavior. Regardless, I've been able to somehow better distance myself from all that drama and have started to get into a groove of starting up the game, giving myself a single task to accomplish, and working towards meeting that end. Sometimes I'll finish it, but in the case that I don't, it's no big deal. Of course, there's always going to be some kind of stimulus, both in and outside of the game, that'll derail what you're working on, but I've started to get better at prioritizing what's fun over what's stressful. Can I say I actually like the game at this point? I still hesitate to say that for sure, but I'm getting there.